If you were to look me up, really look me up, dig through every dusty corner of the internet, hoping to find some record that proves I existed in the way the world recognizes existence, you wouldn't find a damn thing. No articles, no awards, no LinkedIn page with polished titles and bullet points, no legacy carved into the digital stone. I am 82 years old. I live in a dented, sun-faded 1974 Airstream trailer parked behind a roadside diner in the middle of New Mexico. When the wind blows hard enough, the whole thing hums like it's remembering better days. My total net worth, if you emptied my pockets and shook out the crumbs from my truck's ashtray, might come out to about $42. Maybe less if I've had a long week. I don't own land. I don't have retirement savings. I have never managed a team, never climbed a ladder, never signed a contract that made anyone else richer than me. By every measure your world uses to define a successful life, I am a complete and utter failure, and I am, without exaggeration, the happiest man you will ever meet. Now, I can already feel the way your mind reacts to that. There's a quiet discomfort that creeps in, maybe even a little pity. You picture me sitting alone, surrounded by rust and regret, thinking, he must have taken a wrong turn somewhere. He must have messed it all up. That's the part you've been taught to believe. But here's the truth no one ever tells you. I didn't make a mistake. I chose this. And what I'm about to tell you, this quiet, dangerous little truth, is something the people running your world are absolutely terrified you might understand. Because if you do, the whole machine starts to crack. Let me take you back. I was 22 years old, sharp as a blade and twice as dangerous. I had a full ride scholarship to Yale Law School, not just accepted, celebrated. They called me a prodigy, top of my class. Professors shook my hand like I was already somebody important. My parents? They thought they had won the lottery of life. Their son, the lawyer, the success story. I remember the first day like it's burned into me. The building was massive, stone walls, tall ceilings, that old-world Gothic architecture designed to make you feel small and significant at the same time, like you were stepping into history or being swallowed by it. I walked into that room full of young men dressed in sharp suits that didn't quite fit their shoulders yet. They were trying to look confident, but I didn't look at their clothes. I looked at their eyes, and I saw fear, not a little bit of nerves, not excitement, not ambition. Fear, pure, quiet, suffocating fear. Fear of not being the best. Fear of disappointing fathers who had already planned their futures. Fear of falling behind in a race that hadn't even started yet. They were already exhausted, and they hadn't taken a single step. I sat down in that hard wooden chair, feeling the weight of everything pressing in, the expectations, the future mapped out like a prison sentence disguised as a dream. 14 minutes. That's how long it took. 14 minutes for me to realize that if I stayed in that room, I would be signing over every hour of my life to a system that didn't care whether I was alive, only whether I was productive. So I stood up. No speech, no dramatic moment. I just stood, walked out those heavy wooden doors, loosened my tie, and threw it in the nearest trash can like it was the first chain I ever broke. Then I stuck out my thumb on the side of the road and headed west. California. My parents didn't speak to me for 10 years? 10 years. They told everyone I had thrown my life away, that I had wasted a gift most people would kill for. But they were wrong. I didn't throw my life away. I took it back. The next 60 years didn't look impressive on paper. I flipped burgers in roadside diners where the grease never quite washed out of your hands. I played banjo on street corners for spare change and the occasional smile. I bartended in beach towns where nobody asked about your past, as long as you could pour a decent drink and listen to their stories. I never made much money, just enough to eat, to drink, to keep moving. But every single morning, I woke up with something most people never experience: ownership of my time. That's it. That's the whole secret. Time. Not money, not status, not recognition. Time. Let me tell you about a man named Richard. He was my roommate that first day at Yale. Clean-cut, disciplined, everything the system loves. Richard stayed when I left. Richard played the game perfectly. He climbed every rung exactly the way he was supposed to. Graduated with honors, landed a job at a prestigious firm, worked harder than anyone else, slept less, sacrificed more. He became a corporate lawyer, made millions, bought a mansion in Connecticut, then another house in the Hamptons. For the summers he barely had time to enjoy. Married a beautiful woman, had children, flew on private jets. From the outside, Richard was the definition of success. He won. At 52 years old, Richard collapsed in his office. Massive heart attack. They say it was stress-induced, like that's supposed to soften the blow. He died surrounded by mahogany desks and Italian leather chairs, in a corner office he spent decades earning. His wife had already left him years earlier, said she felt like she was married to a ghost who only visited on weekends. His children? They didn't cry much at the funeral. Hard to mourn someone you never really knew. Richard spent 30 years carrying a 1,000-pound weight up a mountain just to reach a summit where people would clap for him. And it killed him. Now look at me, 82 years old, sitting in a rusted trailer in the desert, watching the sky turn colors every evening like it's putting on a private show just for me. My heart beats slow, easy, unhurried. They call me a failure, but I'm still here, and Richard isn't. So tell me, what exactly did he win? You've been sold a story your entire life, a very convincing one. It says that wealth is about accumulation, more money, more things, more status, more everything. But here's what they don't tell you. Everything you add to your life adds weight. A bigger house isn't freedom, it's responsibility. It needs cleaning, maintenance, insurance. It keeps you awake at night worrying about leaks and payments. A high-paying job often comes with invisible chains, expectations, deadlines, the quiet understanding that your time is no longer yours. You don't own your possessions, they own you. I live in a metal tube. If I get tired of the view, I move. That's freedom. I call it the empty backpack theory. Imagine two people hiking up a mountain. One is carrying a bag filled with gold, heavy, valuable, impressive. The other carries nothing but water. Who enjoys the climb? The one bent over, sweating under the weight of something he's terrified to lose? Or the one walking freely, noticing the trees, the wind, the sky? I dropped the gold in 1961, and I've been light ever since. Now I look at your generation, and I don't feel judgment. I feel heartbreak, because you're not just dealing with pressure from your parents or your community anymore. You carry something far worse. A machine in your pocket that compares your life to billions of others every single day. You scroll through carefully curated lives, perfect bodies, perfect homes, perfect success stories, and you measure yourself against illusions. And then there's this obsession with optimization. Everything has to be improved, tracked, maximized. Your sleep, your productivity, your habits. You wake up at ungodly hours, force yourself into routines you hate, all in the name of becoming better. Better for what? To produce more? To earn more? To impress people who are just as anxious as you are? You've turned yourselves into machines, efficient, disciplined, exhausted. You talk about building a personal brand like you're a product on a shelf. But you're not a product. You're a person. Messy, unpredictable, alive. And you're trying to iron all of that out just to fit into a system that rewards conformity and calls it success. It's a treadmill, and you're sprinting, terrified to slow down, because you think if you stop, everything falls apart. Let me tell you what real wealth feels like. It's not waking up to an alarm you hate. It's not checking emails before your feet hit the floor. It's not living for weekends or vacations. Real wealth is waking up, staring at the ceiling, and realizing there is not a single person on this planet who can force you to do something you don't want to do. That's it. That's the whole thing. It's the absence of that tight knot in your chest, the one that shows up Sunday night, the one that whispers, "You have to go back." I never had a retirement account, but I've spent decades reading books under trees, having conversations with strangers that lasted hours, watching storms roll in without feeling guilty that I wasn't being productive. You think failure is the worst thing that can happen to you. It's not. Failure is just a label, a word used by a system to describe people it cannot control. If you don't care about status, no one can threaten you with losing it. If you don't need approval, no one can manipulate you with it. If you have nothing to protect, you become untouchable, bulletproof. That's where I live. Not in wealth, not in poverty, in freedom. And that's what I'm offering you right now. Not advice, permission. Permission to step off the treadmill. Permission to stop chasing something you don't even truly want. If you hate your job, the one that makes your chest tighten every Sunday night, you don't have to stay. If you want a simpler life, you're allowed to choose it. If you'd rather earn less and live more, that is a valid trade. People will talk. They will call you lazy, a failure, a disappointment. Let them. They're trapped in the same system you're trying to escape. They need you to stay in it so their own choices feel justified. Let them have their titles, their stress, their sleepless nights, their carefully constructed lives that look perfect from the outside and feel empty on the inside. You don't need any of it. Come down here, to the bottom, where things are simple, where the air feels different, where success isn't measured, it's experienced. I promise you, something most people will never believe until they see it for themselves. The view from down here, it's spectacular.